Before we start, I should let you know that I will not be covering Quarantine and its sequel here because it's not part of the main Rec series and I haven't seen it, so I could be wrong, but I bet it's just a remake of the first movie, but America. If this video does well, I will cover them in the future, and also a content warning for all the stuff listed on screen. Anyways, let's get to the video. Hello everyone and welcome to my review of all 4 Rec movies. Now, I just want to say right now that I have reviewed these movies in the past on my second channel, but I have disowned those videos because they suck. So this is sort of a remaster of those old videos. So if you don't know, the Rec movies are found footage zombie movies, which I think are great and need more recognition. So please, if you like zombie movies or just horror movies in general, I highly recommend you check out at least the first movie. Anyways, I have nothing else to say for this intro, so let's get started with the first movie. Alright, Rec 1, my favorite movie of all time. Where do we start? Well, I guess I should give a small summary. This movie follows Angela and her very dedicated cameraman, Pablo. They are doing some sort of interview with some firefighters when the firefighters get a call to an apartment. Angela and Pablo go with them, and it turns out there's a zombie virus outbreak. Alright, this sounds pretty basic, which, I mean, it is, but basic doesn't equal bad. In fact, I think having a basic and simple plot can be a great thing. Also, can I just talk about how this movie somehow uses several different horror subgenres and somehow manages to have a fairly unique take on them? Let me explain. So first off, I've been describing this movie as a zombie movie, but it's so much more. I feel that I should describe it as a found footage demon zombie movie. It mashes up the found footage genre, the demon possession genre, and the zombie genre. And somehow it does everything great about those genres. First off, this movie does something that a lot of found footage movies fail to do: feel natural. What I mean by that, it feels reasonable for Pablo to be recording everything in this situation, especially since Angela tells him to record everything. This movie also does something that the demon possession movies often fail at, being unique. This might just be a me thing, but I've always felt that a lot of demon movies have been kind of the same since The Exorcist. While there are exceptions, whenever I see like a demon movie on a streaming service or anywhere really, more than likely I'm not going to watch it. Rec does something with this subgenre that I've never seen with any other zombie or demon movie. The demons possess people like a zombie virus. I'm sure this has been done before, but this is my first time seeing something like this. And for the zombie aspect of this movie, it manages to do something unique, specifically with the origin of the virus. See, in most zombie media, usually the virus comes from a science experiment gone wrong, an unknown origin, or some instances from space. But in this movie, it's a demonic virus, which I'm sure has been done before, but this is my first time seeing it personally. This also opens up new ideas for stopping the zombies. I know I should be talking about strictly the first movie here, but in the second movie, a priest tries to perform an exorcism on one of the zombies, and in the third movie, it's revealed the zombies aren't able to enter a church. This whole thing just opens up different ways the zombies can be dealt with that other zombie media couldn't do. Another thing that it has that other horror movies don't is an effective and actually good jump scare. I am of course referring to the scene where Pablo sticks his camera into the attic and this zombie boy jumps out. This is probably my favorite jump scare of all time, which isn't saying much since a lot of jump scares are honestly kind of cheap, but it's something. I also gotta say that the acting in this movie is amazing. It really feels like we're watching an actual footage from a horrific event. Also, I should probably point out that Angela's actress was actually a TV reporter in real life, which just adds to the realism of this movie. Last thing I want to bring up about this movie is the ending, because this ending is really good. So when Pablo and Angela find out that this infection is demonic, the lights go out and Pablo turns his camera to night vision mode. Having this part of the movie be in night vision is genius. And fun fact, this part, and arguably this whole movie, was a big inspiration for the game Outlast. I haven't played Outlast, but I will one day on my gaming channel. Subscribe to the gaming channel, by the way. Also, this was actually filmed in the dark, so Angela's actress really couldn't see anything. So, while in the dark, Tristana Menderos, probably mispronouncing that, who was the first person to get infected with this virus, shows up, and boy is she creepy. She comes out, kills Pablo, and drags Angela into the darkness. This ending is dark, but sometimes dark endings are good. I genuinely can't see any other ending for this movie that would be satisfying. But don't worry, if you're a fan of Angela, she's still alive in Rec 2. Anyways, with all that said, I will give Rec a 10 out of 10. I genuinely can't find a single thing that I don't like about this movie. Now, let me real quick just say that most of the things that I said about Rec 1 apply to this movie as well. I'm just saying this now so I don't repeat myself. So this movie continues right after the first movie, and when I say right after, I mean it. It begins with Angela getting dragged away. I really like this. Usually sequels take place a few years after the first movie, but this one just continues right where the first movie ended. This movie follows a group of soldiers going into the apartment from Rec 1 to find out what happened. Right away, this is a pretty good setup for a sequel. I honestly can't think of any other way they could have done a sequel. Also, I like how the soldiers have helmet cams on. It's a perfect way to explain the whole found footage part of this. I also love how this movie leans more into the supernatural elements of the first movie. I already kind of mentioned this when I talked about the first movie, but the supernatural elements really shine here, and it shows that some ways the zombies can be stopped that couldn't be done in regular zombie movies. There is one thing that I'm a little mixed on about this movie. About halfway through this movie, we cut to these kids who decide to sneak into the apartment. I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, it's not that big of a problem, but I would prefer this movie to just be the soldiers and maybe some survivors in the building. Another thing I want to talk about is this movie's sort of twist. Angela shows up, and when she turns on the night vision on the cameras, a door appears, which wasn't there before. They get real creative with this found footage style. Anyways, at the end of the movie, Angela is revealed to be possessed by Tristana Menderos, though she's not exactly the same as the other zombies. See, it's revealed that when Tristana got a hold of her, at the end of the first movie, she put a slug down Angela's throat, which caused her to get possessed. This is a great twist. It would be one thing if Angela turned into a zombie, but she was possessed by the monster that started this whole thing. Something about that just feels right. One last thing I want to mention is that the special effects in this movie are phenomenal, especially with this bug at the end. This bug was entirely CGI. I didn't believe it either when I first heard it. That's not the only great special effects featured in this movie. There are a ton of great special effects. Anyways, with all that said, I'll give Rec 2 an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, so this movie is very different from the first two. For one, it really has nothing to do with those two movies. It follows this couple on their wedding day, and one of the people attending was bit by a dog at the vet. Also, I forgot to mention, but this dog actually started the outbreak from the first two movies. But the biggest difference is that they drop the whole found footage aspect of these movies. Now, granted, it does start out as found footage, but once the zombies attack, it becomes a traditional movie. I'm mixed on this. On one hand, this would allow them to do stuff they couldn't do in the found footage style, but on the other hand, the found footage style is one of the things that makes these movies unique. Also not a fan of this movie having absolutely nothing to do with the first two movies, especially since in the fourth movie, this whole movie isn't even mentioned. You know what other movie is kind of similar to this? Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Now hear me out on this one. So the first two Fast and Furious movies both had same characters and actually were connected, but Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift came along and it had nothing to do with the first two, and had whole new characters. Still had a similar story to the first two, but it just ended up feeling like a spin-off instead of a third movie. Doesn't that sound familiar? That's exactly how I feel about Rec 3. Now, I will say that, just like Tokyo Drift, I don't hate this movie. I just don't like it as much as the other movies. There's a lot of things that I do enjoy about this movie. For one, this movie is a pretty good zombie movie. It's a fun time. I also gotta give credit to this scene. It's probably one of the most iconic scenes in this entire franchise. This movie also introduces a new little thing about the zombies, that they can't enter churches, which is small, but it's still interesting. The whole cast did a great job, and the end of this movie was genuinely great. Sad, yes, but really good. And of course, this movie has great special effects. But the one thing that I absolutely hate about this movie is that John Sponge was never shown as a zombie. Like, come on! But at the end of the day, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Still good, but not as good as the first two. So this movie actually continues the story from the first two movies, unlike Rec 3. I gotta say real quick that I love how we get to see parts of the second movie in the style of a traditional movie. I don't know why, but something about that I just really like. It's really cool. Anyways, this movie has Angela from the first movie on a boat with a bunch of people trying to create a cure for the virus. I gotta say a boat is a great saying for a zombie movie. Also, the plot may be a little generic, but honestly I don't mind it. A monkey eventually gets out and bites this guy and causes a zombie outbreak on the ship. I feel like I should mention that this monkey looks like crap at times, but only for a few shots. Aside from that, the special effects in this movie are fine. Not as impressive as the first three, but still decent. The title of this movie is also kind of clickbait. I know that's kind of a weird way of putting it, but I honestly don't know how else to describe it. What I mean by that is that the title of this movie is Rec 4 Apocalypse, but the whole movie takes place on a boat. See, when I think of the word apocalypse, I think of like the whole world being destroyed and overrun by zombies, but that's not what this movie is. It's just another outbreak, just on a boat this time. Should have been called Rec 4 on a boat, or something like that, I don't know. I also gotta talk about the ending of this movie. So it ends with the boat sinking. Luckily, Angela and this other guy, I forget the name of, end up escaping. Also, the slug that was inside Angela is eaten by a fish. I really like this ending. It's a good way to end the series and open up a possibility for another movie. This is how all movies should end. A nice conclusion, but also some potential for a sequel. Even though this movie isn't great, as great as the first two, I still like it, and I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. In conclusion, this quadrilogy is really good, and honestly, I kind of want a fifth movie from it, but I would also be happy if it just ended with 4. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments if you want me to watch the American remakes of these movies, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.